Shalom YouTube, this is Sister T and welcome again to The Rock. So today I'm going to talk about a topic that appears to be taboo. But it's not really taboo, but it is made out to be a taboo topic that you don't hear talk about much, but it's always happening. And that is the topic of sexuality. You know, when I first got married too, I like to ask questions about, marriage and how do I have a healthy marriage that will last forever and what is it going to take and what is lacking. And I was told many different things. But the one thing that I was not told to prioritize in marriage was sexuality. I was not told to prioritize marriage and sexuality. It was always really skimmed over. It was, lightly talked about. And so I just want to talk about it today. I was doing some research, and when I'm done talking about the research a little bit, then I'll tell you a story. But I was doing some research on, marriages, like how often there are divorces. So, statistically, it says the average marriage is only lasting between 7 and 9 years before there's a divorce. And it's saying that first-time marriages are lasting at an average rate of 8.2 years. And then they're ending in divorce. And I was looking up, well, why are people divorcing? And it said, I'm going to just tell you 3. I got top 10 reasons, top 15 reasons, but I'm just going to stick with the top 3 right now. The top 3 reasons for divorce is lack of commitment at 75%. Then second was infidelity at 59.6%. And then too much conflict in the family at 57.7%. What's happening. And I'm not going to focus in too much on the lack of commitment. I can cover that in another video. And I'm not going to focus too much on the conflict, although that is important as well. I'm going to focus in on the infidelity because I did further research of, well, why is, so much infidelity happening in marriage? Why is there so much cheating? Why is everybody cheating? The men are cheating, the women are cheating, everybody cheating. Why? And I wanted to know why the men were cheating, okay? And in there's 2 reasons that were talked about over and over in multiple articles about why men are cheating. There are surveys done on it and studies done on it. And most men are saying because they're bored and because they're not happy sexually. Like sexually, their sex life is dead. Their sexual life is, the woman's not either sexually mature. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's not making sexuality a priority. She's prioritizing everything else but sexuality. And so they're getting sexually bored and they're just not sexually satisfied. And a lot of cheating, most people say they're not sexually satisfied. Their partner is not sexually satisfying them. Well, as women, we're supposed to be satisfying our husbands, our masters, and we are not even taught how to do that. We're not even taught how to prioritize that. I was looking at many studies that talk about, women don't even like discussing sexuality. It's like such a topic that's like, ooh, who wants to discuss that? But you're doing it. That's what I'm thinking. But you're doing it. Everyone's doing sexuality. Everyone is having sex, but no one wants to talk about sex. And sexuality is not just defined by just having sex. Okay. Not just by having sex. Sexuality encompasses many things. It encompasses the physical. It encompasses psychological, like your thoughts on it, your feelings, your desires, the reproduction. There's a social part of sexuality, and there's sexual expression. And I like that. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And then identity. Now, I hope you know your sexual identity. I hope you know about your own reproductive, self and your identity. You're born female, you female? Okay, I'm going to leave that there. But anyways, but I like the sexual expression. In our master's household, sexuality is talked about a lot. And I'm just going to tell you a few reasons. My own master talks about why men are getting bored in sexuality. And it lines up very well with statistical studies and reasons why people are quoting why they're divorcing or why they're not satisfied. One of the things that my master always say is because women are clones of each other. He's like, no one has their own creativity. No one's in tune with themselves and know who they are sexually or mentally, emotionally, emotionally in general, but not sexually as well. You said most of the stuff that women are giving off in sexuality is the same thing that they learn on television. It's like every woman's trying to be the next Beyonce, then every woman's trying to be the next Nicki Minaj. They try to give you or show you sexuality the same way another woman is expressing it on television, but no one knows who they are sexually and not giving you like what's inside of you and what do you have for your own master and your own husband. What are you coming up with? What are you creating? Where's your creative flow and what you're giving, and how do you express, hey, I desire you, husband, and how I want to express myself to you that's not come from the television that you just made up or copied and pasted from the internet. And, you know, he talks about that's what have made him bored in life, and that's what a lot of men are quoting the same thing, that women don't have no creativity, or they're sitting there saying, I don't know what to do. If you ask them questions or say, let's talk about sexuality, they're not really sure what to talk about. And that's exactly what I read. A lot of men are saying, there's no sexual excitement, there's no sexual discussion, there's no sexual authenticity. Everyone's just quoting things that they learn from television or on Real Housewives or shows and stuff like that. Like, who, they don't know who their partner even is. They don't know who their wife is because she don't know who she is. So I just wanted to talk about that and bring that out. Like, so we need to stop making sex and sexuality taboo. Sexuality encompasses so many different things, aspects, including sex, and it is an important thing in marriage. You already know, you get married, you already know what's going to happen. So I'm not here to talk about what's going, hold on. I'm not okay, leave it alone. I'm not here to talk about what personally goes on to your personal bedroom or my personal bedroom, but just in general, something that needs to be discussed. Discuss it with your own husband. Discuss it with your other helpmeets that's, you know, that your master have. But it needs to be talked about more, and it does not need to be taboo or scary. We made the decision to get married, and you definitely can't just say it's scary and taboo and we don't want to talk about it now and ill and yuck and all that sort of stuff when most women already have a history of doing it. And, you know, and another thing is, I've heard a lot of sisters say, this is what I've heard. A lot of sisters say, all men seem to think about is sex, sex, sex. They make everything about sex. But we cannot say that. And a sister and a woman should not say that if you have a sexual history. Because if you have a sexual history and you had past sexual experiences and you were not married, you thought about sex. And so it can't just be suddenly different now that you're married. This is the most important time. If you were granted the mercy and grace and opportunity to get married after you already had sex, then sexuality should be a priority. You know, I wish someone would have talked to me about sexuality and sex and how to prioritize it. That would have been an important lesson for me. And I talked to Sister Ebony too and asked, you know, did you learn it? Did your parents and your family talk to you about it? And she says, no, not at all. And I have not either. And I've asked other sisters, and their parents and their family didn't talk about it either. They said it was like a passing thing. That you say very little and you move on. You act like it is like a small thing, but it's not small. And now I'm going to get to my story. So there was a woman in the faith. She was an older woman. She's a part of the ministry that a lot of young women used to love talking to. She was a very sweet woman. And everyone would go to her because she was married 50 years or something like that before her husband passed. And we would go to her, including myself, and we're asking questions about marriage and how our marriages will last and things to do. And she made it a point to talk about sexuality, sexual maturity, maturity, sexuality, knowing yourself, and making sex a priority in your marriage. And you know that she was scolded really bad because some leaderships felt that she decided to prioritize talking about sex and that all she wants to tell young women about is sex, sex, sex. And sadly, her point was very good, was that, well, that's because that's the topic no one's covering. And people are going into marriage and they're walking into a failing situation. Sex is important and they need to know about it. These young women need to know about it, and it's not being talked about. So she wanted to let young women know that they need to prioritize it and how important it was to pleasing their husbands. And she was scolded about it. And it is a priority. It should be a priority. So I just want to know what y'all thought about this video. If you have any, especially you seasoned sisters and women who's been married for years and years, comment in the comment section what you think about this topic. And did you learn about this? Do you prioritize this? Let's have open discussions about things like this, because this is what's going to help, young women and married women to know that they need to reprioritize things and make sexuality important and make it not taboo, it's not disgusting, and nor is it something that you should put on a back burner. And it's not something for you to get mad at your husband for because he wants to talk about sex or want to have it or want to have you in that way. That's what he's supposed to do. And you should be happy to do it. So I want to talk about this more. If you want to put any comments like that in the discussion, in the comment section. Until next time, shalom.